All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being with me and with us for another book club presentation or discussion, actually. So this time the discussion will be on a book called Journey of Souls, written by Michael Newton, PhD. Yeah. So this book is as usual when I do a discussion about books, it's very important to know about the author. So I think we have to have an idea of where he's coming from or what he is thinking of. So about the author. So Michael Newton, PhD, he's male, he's Catholic or an atheist. It's not quite clear because in the documents, I don't think it was mentioned, but I assume he's Catholic because there's one paragraph when he had a discussion with a pastor, which I assume was from his church. But in the discussion, actually mentioned that he sort of seems to be not a believer. So that's why I wrote an atheist. So it could be both. Was born in Los Angeles in December 9th, 1931. So it was quite a long time ago. So actually, and he already died on September 22nd, 2016. He had a doctorate in psychology, certified master of hypnotherapist, a member of the American Council. So he's quite a prominent practitioner. So basically his life was a consultant for a corporation as a behavior counselor. I don't know if for those who've been working in a corporate setting know that usually big companies have HR perhaps, or they have like counselors or psychologists to help with the problems of their staff. So I think he's more something of a corporate consultant with behavioral counselor or behavioral counselor. He specializes in behavior modification for the treatment of psychological disorder. So basically, he's not a psychiatrist. I don't know if he's a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I think when it comes to hypnotherapy, he could be either both, actually. So his way of treatment is actually with use of hypnosis and age regression technique. So anyone knows about what that is, maybe?
You take somebody, sorry, you take somebody back through their life.
Yes.
I bet year by year.
All right. So when people hear about hypnosis or hypnotism in a common sense of the word, usually they think of like trying to a performance or trying to make people do things they really don't know. Yeah, something like an entertainment. Or sometimes here is usually hypnotism is usually used for tricking people to swindle their money and etc. But actually, this is one sort of hypnosis therapy that is called the age regression, and basically that is to bring a person to a certain point in their life where they already forgot about it. So when you go through life, there's some parts of memories that you don't really think about, and those memories are buried into your subconscious. Now, this kind of treatment actually is bring you back to a certain time in your life where that memory is unburied, so you can recall it again. So usually when you're, for example, if you're at the age of 50, the hypnotherapist try to regress your age to when you're 30, for example. And he asks you what you did when you were 30, and you can recall the things that you did when you were 30, like 20 years ago. And that is called regression. Now, this technique is not only for the past, what do you call it? Your past regression. It can also be your past life regression, meaning that you can bring back your memory beyond the date you were born. So, for example, you can recall your age, what you did when you were 5, for example, and you can recall what you did when you were 0 age, or before that. That's called past life regression.
Mm.
So this is what he did actually with his subjects. So his interest in reincarnation and metaphysics only started with intellectual curiosity, and he written books. The book Journey of Souls was written in 1994. So actually, it's a very old book. Now, when we look at the year 1994, actually, it's a time when these kinds of New Age belief was beginning to grow. Yeah, right. When people started to, maybe Mike experienced it. Yeah, but there was a time in our lives when New Age beliefs were starting to, alternative religion was starting to flourish.
Flourish, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it was in that time. But if you look at the time of the book, actually 1994, that's really how many years ago that? It's a long time ago. It's an old book, actually.
36, yes, 37.
37, right. So that's why when Mike said that he thought the book was a bit tedious, so I can understand that, because it is an old subject, actually.
Mm.
So his second book, in 2001, he was awarded a metaphysical book of the year by the American Publisher Association. Okay, so he also did editorial books for other books. Okay. All right. So when I look at the language actually of the book is quite easy to understand. There's nothing special about the language, because it basically is just a report. So there's no flowery words, or it's just basic facts that he wrote. So I think that the language, for people who really doesn't like these kinds of thesis work, like Michael mentioned, I think they would not find it too interesting. So the style of the book, basically, he just reported what he learned from his subjects or from his patients, and wrote it down and divided into chapters, beginning till the end. So basically, that's how he wrote his book. Visual, there's no visual. There's only about 3 graphs or 3 pictures, black and white pictures. So for the eyes, actually, the book is mostly words and writing. All right, so so before I start, I just want to ask the viewers here: do any of you believe in reincarnation? Because this is actually the theme of the book. So if we have that in the for now, I think it's clear to know whether you believe the book or not. So
I think I would like to. I mean, the problem I personally have, and I know I'm getting very close to it, is I find it really difficult to understand why we were built the way we are, and you spend all of your life learning things, developing yourself, and then all of a sudden it's all gone. Whether you have an early death from heart attack at 34, or you die from old age at 72 or 92, yeah, to me it's such a waste. And as a biological animal, to spend all of that time, that research, information gathering, and then it literally disappears. I find that really hard to believe. Yeah, to me, I just hope that what we learn in our life is used somewhere. Either we retain that, and the soul doesn't die; the body dies, or it gets transferred to another person in reincarnation. But again, I mean, that area, I just find it wasteful.
Is it hard to believe or hard to accept?
I think both. I think if it was believable, it would be easy to accept.
So, yeah, because actually that idea is actually, people don't want to accept that they accumulated so much knowledge, and at the end of the day, it all disappears.
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons why people believe in life after death, because they don't accept that whatever you accumulated will just disappear in one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a form of making people have something to live for, actually.
Sure.
It's the preparation.
Muted, Pak Wido.
You're muted, Wido.
Muted.
Wido, you muted yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry about that. So any other ideas? Maybe Irti, you have a different idea. Maybe you believe in that people don't reincarnate. We're not talking about life after death. We're talking about reincarnation, meaning that you live, after you die, you live again, and you die again, and you live again, and so on.
I have this kind of belief since I was a kid, and recently, like last 2 years, I have this kind of discussion with my friends that luckily they have this kind of spiritual guidance. We don't talk about religion, just spiritual faith. And then one of them actually is studying in major of health science, but not in this country. And then in that place, she said that most of her lecturer has this kind of faith between logic and spiritual, and then they conclude that each person in this world was born with their genetics, with the DNA and the RNA, and then those are codes, genetical codes that actually contains all of the history from our past lives. So we believe that based on the discussion, we believe that we realize it or not, but we already have that codes and memories inside of us. Hard to believe or not, but sometimes we feel like there are some dreams that we don't understand because we haven't experienced it in the real life, but then we don't know if it's just an illusion or not, or imagination or not, but like, oh, I feel like I have been there in this mountain, and then when we Google it and it's real, and then I was working for myself. I feel like in the past life I was a person that works with I don't know the word in English, I forget. Pembikar, the one, the pottery. So
Yeah.
I kind of believe, because when I start to teach pottery with students, I don't know why I haven't learned it. I just like, let's do it like this. And then it feels like all my body is automatically able to make it without learn it before. So
yeah. I mean, there's a technique or a term for that, insight learning.
yeah,
That's quite common, yeah.
maybe so.
Where you learn 5 or 6 facts, and when you have those 5 or 6, it then gives you the information to fill in the other 4 or 5 that were missing.
Most probably.
Yeah, so you fill in the gaps. You make a picture. You make it a jigsaw puzzle. You have some of the pieces, and when you've got some of the pieces, you can work out what the picture is. But yeah, it's insight learning. Yeah, so it's a jump.
So if actually, I heard of that theory that you carry on your DNA, but isn't that just hereditary? Hereditary. How do you pronounce it, Mike?
Hereditary.
Yeah, that's a hard word.
Hereditary. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because in that case, it's very material. That means your DNA has to be passed on to your offspring, right? To your children.
Yeah.
So in case of reincarnation, it doesn't have to be offspring. You can have the same personality in one continent, for example, in Asia, and all of a sudden that same trait or that same trait it can come up in Europe, where there's no link in the DNA. So I don't know if that theory works or not. But in this case of reincarnation, actually your spirit can can come up anywhere in the world.
Pavido, you have
even in
background
other
noise.
planets. Yes.
You have
You're
background
printing.
noise.
You have
Yes,
a
yes,
printer
sorry about
going.
that. Sorry about that.
There is, I mean, there's an interesting study there, potentially study there for adopted kids, yeah, where they obviously have some other parents' DNA, and they're now living in that family. So they may, have a link. They may know the biological parents, but maybe not. But yeah, I mean, this is typical, it's incredibly interesting area.
Can I share also about reincarnation?
Yes, please.
So I watched several documentaries about reincarnation, and that time I kind of believed it. The stories were very convincing, like what Pak Vido said. Somehow your soul is passed on to a person from a different continent or even different gender or different race, all of these things. And the stories who back that up are abundant, a lot of people. So somehow I believe that there are some souls that can be passed on to the next living person, but not all, I would say. Because if it's all, then the phenomena of reincarnation stories will be much more common than what we have now. And so my current standing is probably there are some exceptions. So there are some of us who are probably lucky enough who will be experiencing rebirth to the next, but not all.
Yeah, maybe Imung has an opinion on that.
I don't really actually, this is a fascinating subject. However, I feel like my knowledge or my understanding of this is still, I don't know how to make a decision about this. This interesting story that I got, this was a few years back when I was once in Indonesia and the other one is in Canada. Somebody approached me and say something about reincarnation. And one person here in Jakarta said that before I was a warrior who killed so many people. So in this life, I have to sort of like, how to say this, payback by creating me who has to be like kind every time, even if I'm suffering, that's the way I have to pay. And the other one in Canada said that I used to be a male patuan tanah landlord who is very, very stingy. And that's why now I'm reincarnated as Imong, and then I have to be also kind. I'm not sure what to believe, but anyway, it's interesting subject. I do somehow believe in life after life. However, on reincarnation, I'm sort of half-half. What people said, yes, I agree somehow that, some soul may be wandering out there and may find, a place or a body to be with, but I don't know. I don't know, Pawido. Maybe you can give me some insights. Muted.
Sorry about that. So thank you. I think it's a valid question. Actually, nobody really knows the answer because nobody has ever died and lived to tell about it. So we just have to take the word for people who were hypnotized. We don't even know if they're really giving an opinion when they were really dead or not. It's just an assumption, right? All right. Okay. Never mind. So it is a paradox. There's a passage in the book. It said it is a paradox that human must repress the fear of death in order to lead a normal life. You have to repress the fear of death. So this is one way we can assume that reincarnation is one way of repressing the fear of death to lead a normal life. Because what would happen if every day we're afraid of dying? We're afraid of dying. That will disrupt our lives, right? So actually, reincarnation or life after death is something to hope for. Yeah. Okay, basically his book is divided into chapters. The first chapter is death and departure. So in this chapter, it tells us about the experience of out of the body experience. So the experience of people dying, and they hover above their body and seeing what's happening around them. So that's one experience. Another is a transparent white light around them. They feel like a pulling sensation. Yeah. So once they leave their body, they feel that it's very much comfortable, especially if you're dying of some severe illness, which is very painful. You feel that they're leaving the body actually is a very nice sensation where you feel no pain. And in this chapter, it sort of explains that they have little interest in their bodies anymore. Once they leave the body, they feel that they have little interest in the body. So actually they can immediately leave. But in some cases, some of the souls, they don't immediately leave. Sometimes they stay around, they sort of linger around to see what's happening. So in some cases, they wait, they resist the pulling sensation to see the burial. So I think in the burial, they feel that there's closure, meaning that the family has already finished the whatever they had to do, right? Give solace, and contrary to belief, little interest in the body. So actually, once you're dead, you have little interest in the bodies, except when you are murdered or an unexpected accident or unresolved problem. So there are things in this chapter that explains that. So what do you think? When you're murdered or have an unexpected accident, do you feel that you would immediately want to leave the body and go to the light? Kalau in Indonesia, it's called ya penasaran, ya. Arwah penasaran. I think that is true. I think it's also something that's not just for people dying. People who are alive also feel the same. If they have something that is unresolved, I'm sure they cannot find peace of mind. So this is continued into the afterlife. Now, what I found a bit strange in this chapter is about the language. So because he talked about people who were in the age of cowboys in the Western or the Wild West. And I'm quite surprised that the language used is a bit modern. It's like suspended time or gravity. There were some words used by the subject. He calls the patient subject. So in one case, there was a woman actually. The patient is male, but in his past life, he was a woman actually in the Wild West when they were still in the caravan, and she was hit by an arrow in the neck. So this is actually why the male patient went to the hypnotherapist, because he always felt pain in certain part of his body, namely in the neck. And apparently that pain came from a past life when, as a woman, he was hit by an arrow in America, in the US. So that is why. So that's in the first chapter. In the next chapter is about gateway to the spirit world. So actually he organized the chapters from the beginning to the end. So the gateway to the spirit world is when you die, death is not darkness, but it's light. So they sometimes, most of them see that around light, a tunnel. Sometimes the tunnel is still far away. Sometimes it's close by. So it's actually a variation of depending on how you live your life. Some people directly go to the tunnel or the light. Some actually have to wait a little bit longer or have to go towards the light. It also explained that the nearest astral plane is called Kamaloka. We have to check on that, where that came from. It seems like a Sanskrit word, so we have to pull. And there's a pulling sensation. Now, in this gateway, the subjects also felt that there are layers of translucent light, meaning that there's transparent light in layers of colors with variation thickness of colors. Sometimes they hear music, chimes. Sometimes they see like sparkling crystal. Some see foamy clouds. Some see ice palace. So this actually came to mind also that, so if they don't have if these people don't have a uniform perception of what's happening after life, could this be actually just a manifestation of how they perceive death? So maybe someone have an idea of this. Maybe Rizka or Paramita.
Pak Wido.
Yes, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine also. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for sharing this book and talking about reincarnation. I just met somebody who believes that he is like a reincarnation of a general in the past, because in his dreams, he has a very vivid dreams. And then one day he visited a place and he could see his dreams in that place. So it's real. And I never have that dreams, or I never thought about reincarnation. But what's interesting about the book is that I just heard some parts of the audio book is that you can heal your disease or illness by visiting your past through the hypnosis. I think
Yes.
that's the part that I'm interested to get to know more. Maybe you can explain about that, because I don't understand if it's really true that can help a lot of us that is going through chronic illness or depression, mental
Yes.
health issues, because we think that it's this life, present life, that causes that. But what if it's something that somebody carries from the past?
Yes.
So does that mean that we have to ask our psychiatrist or somebody
Hypnosis.
to do
Hypnotherapist.
hypnotherapy? Yeah,
Yes.
something
Well,
like that. So what do you recommend, Pak?
Yeah. So actually, that was the profession of the writer, Michael Newton. He does actually this therapy can be physically or mentally. For example, if you have some sort of phobia towards a certain, for example, for spiders, for example, it could be a part of your experience in your life or your past life. It could be your life previous when you were a child, or even further in your past life when you were someone else. Maybe you had a very bad experience about spiders that it's carried on to your current life. So that is why sometimes it's sometimes strange when people have fear of certain things that is not rational. For example, some people are afraid of claustrophobic. Maybe in the past life they were as a child they were put into a cupboard when they were naughty, and it carries on to the next life when people are really afraid of being in small spaces. And so that's for mental illnesses, but it also can be for physical. For example, like I said, when someone has feel certain pain in the body, but according to medical examination, they cannot find anything wrong with that part of body. So perhaps in the past life, they find something that happened to you on that certain part of the body. For example, when I told you about Sally, who was hit on the neck with an arrow by Indians when she was in the Wild West. Apparently, Michael Newton knew about this after he hypnotized the patient, and he explained that he has a certain pain in the neck which he cannot explain, nor doctor can explain why it's there. So sometimes the hypnotherapist can help you by eliminating those memories. There's a certain technique of doing that. Whether you have fear of spiders or phobia of something, or you have a certain pain, they try to eliminate that experience, bad experience, so it doesn't carry on to your current life. So that's my experience about that. So anyone else has an opinion or disagree with that technique? I know some of you are psychologists. In HR, are you psychologists, or Rizka, for example, or Imum, are you a psychologist?
Agil is. My experience is not by education, formal education, but yeah, Ragil can talk about this.
Well, actually, I'm learning psychology, but we haven't learned about hypnotherapies in the specific area. But we learn about Freud. Maybe you've ever heard about Freud. And in the past, Freud is starting from the hypnosis as well, but it also described in the movie Freud. And but also learned hypnotherapies, but it was 10 years ago. And my friend also experienced past regression therapy, which is until before, I mean, like just like Imu mentions that what we are, who we were in the past, but the regression is past before us, something like that. But I cannot do it. But what I remember about this hypnotherapist is we are using also a timeline session. So we also can use the future pace or also in the past. So something like the past is not until where we were, but in childhood time, not until who we were before
not till
today.
previous lives.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but my friend said he experienced that, and but now he didn't want to continue because the past is something like he doesn't want to remember, something like what for I should know about my past. Okay, I just experienced that, but the feeling or the emotion is not good. So he mentions that I think I have to stop doing this because we live at the moment is most important than what we are in the past. So we focus on the where we are now and to the future. So it just experience, but it's because he curious about the past, but until now he mentions that I think I have to stop this. So I need to live where I am now, like that.
Yeah. Well, it's good choice. I mean, that's one thing that always comes to mind when we talk about reincarnation, reincarnation, because the purpose of reincarnation is actually to improve oneself in each next life. But what I always wonder is, how can we improve ourselves if we didn't know what we were before or what we did wrong before? Now, people can improve themselves when they know what they did wrong. That's why they improve. But how can we improve ourselves if we didn't know our past life or what we did wrong? So that's something to think about.
But Ido, can I share about hypnotherapy from this documentary? So from the documentary I mentioned earlier, hypnotherapy was used to recruit cult members in the 70s or 80s because these teenagers sit with this hypnotherapist, and somehow this hypnotherapist always told them that they were raped when they were a child by their own parents. So, and there's a lawsuit actually going on because of this, a real lawsuit in the United States. So hypnotherapists make these kids believe that they were actually sexually molested or, raped by their own parents. So they persuade them to leave their house and join the cult, basically. And there was a lot of lawsuits because of that. These families sue the hypnotherapist. So the question is, how do we know if what we remember is actually valid or not? Or is there a certain power that this hypnotherapist holds that can create this false memory, or I don't know whether real memory or not. Yeah.
That's actually a good question. How can we confirm that what they're saying is true, or just imagination of that just in the memory? So I think one of the how they prove it is actually physically, meaning that sometimes they check on the background of a certain past life and did some research, and sometimes if it coincides and it matches, that means it is true. So nowadays there's also people like a child who thinks she is reincarnated from a certain person, and they do research from which area, and they find that there are matching people that actually confirms that what she's saying is true. So that's one way. Now, of course, that's only one research, right? Whether it proves that all of the past life regressionists are saying the truth or are real, now that has to be re-examined. So it just proves that it is a form that can be true, that is true, but it doesn't confirm that all of it must be true. Okay.
Pawido, I have an
Yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead, Effie.
Oh yes, please.
I'll go after you.
Okay. Go, Mbak Imong, if you want to go first, it's okay.
Go ahead, you first.
Okay. So, Pak Wido, I wish to share some of my opinion about this matter. I studied psychology and just recently also taking a certification in hypnotherapy.
Okay.
So, what we did in hypnotherapy is actually we bring those memories from our subconscious into the conscious.
Yeah.
So because human mind is like an iceberg, which is the conscious part is just tip of the iceberg, and the unconscious is the bigger part inside our. So everything that we scared of, we feel uncomfortable of, we fear of, we don't want to remember, we suppress all the memories into the subconscious. And what is most interesting is the way we remember things is different from time to time. It using different kind of cognitive system mechanism. So for example, when we were a child, we kind of recording the memory in different way from the time when we recording memories in our adulthood. That's why sometimes in our memory of childhood, it comes into pieces because the memory was there in our subconscious or in our mind, but it's hard for us to retrieve the information because we kind of file it in a different way. I mean, like, for example, if we're going into a library, we kind of looking for books or data in, using the catalogs or something, and we open the drawers to retrieve the information. But during the childhood and the adulthood, we process the information differently, and we store them in our mind, in human information processing, in different ways. So it's kind of difficult to retrieve. So what the hypnosis do is they relaxing down all the barrier between the subconscious and conscious mind, and then makes them more relaxed, and so they can easily retrieve the information that was storage in previous time. And it also works the same way with people when they sleep. So sometimes when we sleep, we dream of something and we cannot remember the whole thing because we process the information differently. And also when we drunk, for example. And that is the first. So I think whether it's true or not true, well, sometimes we have to reconfirm the information through the subject or also the people around it. But it can be really marvelous what people can remember even when they were still in the womb. So there's an interesting case. There is a daughter who hates her mother so much, and she actually don't understand why. I don't know when I hate her, but it just she actually did nothing wrong. She just like an ordinary mom, but I just hate her and I don't know why. And she come to the hypnotherapist, and then it was through all the session, it was found out that it was an unwanted pregnancy. So she actually in the womb can remember how was the feeling of her mother when she,
Want her.
dislike, dislike the pregnancy, dislike the baby in the womb. So, and if we relate it to the psychology in developmental psychology, we learned that the baby is learning when they were in the womb. So that's why some people, when they're having a baby in the womb, when they're pregnant, they try to give classical music, they talk to the babies. Those things are recorded. Some people are eating bakso so much, and when the baby is born, she just like the taste of bakso so much. I mean, like, it was learned. It was the taste that they remember gitu, during their time in the womb. Yeah.
But
So and also the interesting part is, Pak Wido, some traumatic disorder, post-traumatic disorder is what is it ya? Diturunkan. It was inherited.
inherited.
Yeah, inherent by genes. I mean, like, there was a story when the grandma was traumatic because of the G30S phenomena, and it was happened during the Maghrib time. So every time when it was Maghrib, she was so scared and she was having this pain in her chest, and then she closed all the doors and all the windows and moving things to just make sure the cupboard, for example, to make sure the clothes cannot be opened from the outside and everything. And the grandson who has never experienced that feeling, every time Maghrib times is coming, he feel pain in his chest without knowing why. So after that, because he is a hypnotherapist, and then he self-hypnosis himself, and found out that experience that the grandma experienced. And he come to the grandma and confirm the situation, and she said, yes, that was exactly what happened. So the memories was, inherited. So that's probably the reason why sometimes, like in Indonesia, Madura versus Dayak, for example, it comes into generation. They don't even know why they're fighting each other anymore. I mean, like, who started the war in the first place and what was the reason for the first time? It's just the hatred was there.
Is nature. Inherited nature.
It's kind of interesting how the human minds
in different case of reincarnation, slightly different, because you're talking about in one life. But in this case, is the previous life, because this is the premise of the book. Is actually that Michael Newton learned something before it was in the womb. So that's the point.
I myself doesn't believe in reincarnation, so that's why it's from the different point of view.
All right, thank you. Imum, so you had something to say, Imum? Maybe you want to continue.
Yeah, just to add for that, I think for myself to explain why some people remember something that is totally different from different world is because of the energy. Like in this world, the energy is all around us. The energy doesn't go away. So somehow our body, our senses probably pick that up because every day we absorb like 60,000 more informations without us knowing it. And of course, from the womb, we absorb all this information, and somehow I think it's connected. As for past life, I think we got that also from our DNA, like you said, Pak Wido, earlier.
Okay, so okay, thank you. So to continue, there's other information in the book that was interesting. So homecoming. So after they die, they go through a process of going through music, chimes, sparkling crystal, clouds, ice castle, and they go to a homecoming. They sometimes see people they know. see and meet people they knew. Okay, sometimes each of these people possess a certain particular color, aura. So actually there's layers of colors and everything in the form of mental image, because as you know that when we talk, we can hear and we can speak. It's all material, right? A sound ribbon or a eardrums listen. But when you're a soul, you don't have any of those physical attributes. So everything is actually mental image. The things that always usually comes to their attention is the eyes. So they have bright eyes or glow black orb eyes. And there's a bright light blanket of love and light. So everything is just light. The soul is also mentioned as androgynous, meaning that they don't have any sex. It could be male or female, because as we learned from this previous past life regression, that a man can be, his past life can be a woman, meaning that the soul is actually androgynous, meaning that they have no sex. So he was asked, how do they communicate if they don't have this sound? They communicate through mental telepathy and through touch communication. So when they touch the energy and the light, it sort of communicate by themselves, right, without any sound. So they also ride on a beam of light, electromagnetic radio waves. It vibrates. Sometimes they have like a spirit guide, and everything is all telepathy. Yeah, and the faces, actually, they said that they can change. The features can change. So when you look at someone, the face doesn't have to be the person. You can change, imagine it, and change to something else. That's from some of the cases. It doesn't confirm that all the cases are the same. Okay, so the next chapter is actually about displaced soul. So we're talking about ghosts. Sometimes in movies, they see ghosts as something scary, but it's not always the case. Ghosts is usually about troubled spirits when they have unfinished business in the world. For example, they died suddenly, or they died in an accident, or they were murdered. They have something that's unfinished business in the world. Sometimes also ghosts is people when they have excessive or evil influence that must redeem their value, their virtue. So when someone is very evil, they sort of have problem in getting back into the spirit world, because they're too evil and they have to sort of try to redeem themselves. Okay, that's from the display soul. The next is about orientation. So karmic payment will come in future life. Karmic payment. So it's like karma. When you do things, sometimes they will return to you in the next life. So this is actually a common Hindu belief where reincarnation actually is trying to redeem yourself from the previous life. So actually there is overwhelming forgiveness in the spirit world, vast distance, opening of pure energy. There's a vessel of healing. So there's some, basically when you're dead, yes, everything is nice there. So any questions about this or any opinions? So anyone has experience in seeing ghosts or having in contact with any of those spirits?
I want to ask about karmic. I mean, I have been wondering if there is no karma, or if there's no like what we call pahala or rewards in whatever deeds we do in this world. Will people still do all the good things for the sake of what? If that's the case.
Okay. Well, that is if you put it in the context of religion, about pahala and dosa, right? So I think basically all spirits are the same, whether you're religious or you're even an atheist. So one of the questions I put forward actually, does this apply to only religious people, or does it apply to everyone, even if they don't believe in God, for example? So this is partly my opinion, actually. I think that karma is actually the word karma is from kra. It's Sanskrit, which means action. That's why the word karya, kriyate, kreative, kriya, karma has the kr letters in it, meaning that it's actually action. So in karma, they believe that whatever you put into the world, there is a mechanism in this universe that returns back to you in the most fairest amount. Yeah, we don't really know what is considered the proper or the fairest amount. Sometimes it is returned to you in this life, sometimes it's returned to you in the next life. We really don't know. But basically whatever we sow, we reap at the end. Apa yang kita tuai, kita panen ya. So, but in the Islamic teaching, actually everything is pahala and dosa, which you collect for the payback is at the end of the journey. So that's actually the main difference between the Hindu religion and the Islamic religion. When it's slightly different, I don't think in the Islamic religion you believe in reincarnation. You just believe that when you die, you go to a certain plane where you wait for the next level to go to heaven or hell. But in this I don't know which one you, regardless of your religion, I don't know which one you subscribe to or you believe in.
Pavia, can I give an additional comments on that? I remember when I was studying my postgraduate degree in Islamic mysticism or tasawwuf or Islamic spirituality, there was one class about this alam barzah or the world in
twilight zone, the world in between.
Yes, corporeal world and afterlife. And the lecturer was Ustad Umar Shahab, if I'm not mistaken. And he explicated that after we die, we're going to be in this alam barzah, where everyone studies, everyone works, everyone is married, everyone have children. So they live the same way as we do here in the corporeal world. But why? Because just like you explained, some people are still disoriented. They don't know where they belong. Others already graduate from the school of life in the corporeal world. So they become teachers there in this alam barzah. So I think there is a meeting point between the reincarnation and this alam barzah. I think when the lecturer explained that this alam barzah is separated from the corporeal world, after listening to you explaining about this book, I think the school of life part 2 in alam barzah is actually we return back to the corporeal world, but becoming a different body. Probably before life we were a woman, and then here after we die in the alam barzah Islamic version, but in the Hindu version or in this book author's version, actually we return back to the corporeal world. We could be a man or a child when we were an adult before, or I don't know about animals, but I think it doesn't include the animals, just the human forms. So it makes sense. I can believe in reincarnation because the concept of alam barzah or the world in between is not really specific. It has to be a different time, different dimension. No, it's just the world in between. So I can understand.
So you're saying that in alam barzah, people is appointed a different life, but still within the alam barzah, or going back to the new life.
I'm saying that in this alam barzah, actually we are going through the same story of life, because some of us haven't learned our lessons yet. Because according to the Islamic philosophy, the purpose of life is we are getting better and better to reach divine perfection, because God is perfect. So before everybody dies, if we're not perfect, we're going to be made to be perfect. So reincarnation is a process that leads us to be perfect, to be divine. And the form, I believe, it could be the reincarnation. It could be that we return back to this corporeal world after we are buried. Our soul is transformed to be light, to be androgynous. And then if our lessons are not learned yet, we need to pick our new forms in this corporeal world, or not fixed for us. I don't know how the process is, but the goal is we become God, or we realize that we
become one with God.
Yes, we are perfect. So that's the lesson.
Well, actually, the problem with Islamic teaching, well, it's not actually a problem, it's our problem actually, that there's some school of thought. Some of it stick to a rigid form of Shariat kind of. What you're talking about Sufism is actually quite different. And not these two school of thought don't necessarily agree on each other. That is the problem.
Exactly, that's the problem.
That's the problem. So it's including with the Sunan Wali Songo, right? There's Sheikh Siti Jenar who was advanced in his spiritual belief that the others cannot accept it at that time, whether politically or religiously. Then it became a problem. So actually, it takes time for people to become enlightenment to a certain level. Even in Islam, there's also Shariat, Tariqat, Hakikat, and Ma'rifat, the highest level. Not everyone can reach that certain plane during their lifetime. So maybe in the next lifetime, in their bodily life next time they can reach a certain level. So I don't know. So actually, there is that case is not conclusive. I think whether you can talk with different ustads and they will have different opinions. Some can be very anti-reincarnation. Some can accept it. So it's a bit difficult. Yeah, thank you, Mita. That's very interesting.
Widow, can I say something about
Yes,
karma?
Yes,
my
please.
opinion. In my opinion, this is my opinion only. I think karma is the way humans deal with unfairness in this world. This world is not fair. This world is not fair. There are so many people who are evil, then they die peacefully, and all of their life is just smooth and nice, right? And it's hard to accept the fact that after they die, there will be no retribution. Or the opposite, there are people who are really kind. It's totally, what is it called? We respect this person, but the nasib is really bad in this life. And we can somehow console ourselves that, okay, the person will be rewarded in the afterlife. Because if we don't have that kind of belief, then I don't think we can handle the fact that this world is so not fair. So I think that's, at least in my opinion, that's how I view it. And that's why I would like to believe that there will be some kind of reward or retribution after life.
Yeah. That's why in the beginning, there's a quote that it is a paradox that human must repress the fear of death in order to lead a normal life. We always think that there's something waiting. It's just our ego is too big to accept that all our achievement in this world will come to a certain end and people forget. Sometimes I realize that no matter how great you are, when we die, people only mourn for us for 1 or 2 days and everyone else get back to their normal lives. So it's a bit strange, unless you're a very famous person or important person that people immortalize you in a statue or in history books. But basically, that's it. But karma is a bit different. In the Islamic faith, pahala, dosa is all collected into a certain point in time later on. Karma in Hinduism is actually different. I personally believe that in the God particle, whatever you think, whatever you say, it vibrates and it affects electromagnetic energy around us. And that as a God particle will affect other energies. And somehow, if you do something bad, that energy comes back to you. It's just the basic law of physics. Action creates reaction. Yeah, if you do it physically where you can see it in the lab, is something you can see, but this is actual reaction in the level of electromagnetic energy. So it's a bit different for me. But I believe that the universe has a mechanism of being fair. Whatever you do, it returns to you in a fair portion. So but we as humans that never really know what is considered fair. But the universe, I think, or perhaps people say God or whatever, can deal with it. Fine. Okay. Okay. So
Can I say a little bit?
yes, please. Always come.
This is a very interesting discussion. I was gonna go with Mbak Imung's asking if if there's no pahala and dosa, will we be doing good or not? And I don't know. I'm still kind of approach this concept with childlike wonders. I mean, what I know is that we all have like a tendency to do something good and a feeling good about it, and doing something that is against what we believe. So there are tendencies of good, tendencies of bad things according to us, and I think according to others, or something that we believe. That's one thing. But I do believe that, I mean, whatever we do, there's always this, I don't know, inner voice that's gonna telling you, oh, this is something good, or this is something that you're not supposed to do. So there's always that. And according to what I believe is that voice, whether you follow it through or you don't follow it through, that is something that will be what mentioned is retribution. And the second is about what and how we're living. I believe that in this world there are systems, whether that is like a retribution, or if we do something good, going back to us like a karma. There's a system, but I also believe like an intervention. Some of the things that we think there are, for example, if I do something good, I hope there's going to be something good coming back to me right now. But when it doesn't happen, sometimes I feel like, oh, why do I keep doing it? And the fruit of my good deeds is being given by others, or for example like that. But there's also like a intervention when we didn't think that we do something good and we get lucky or we get unlucky. So yeah, I mean, I feel like everything that we learn in this world, like the knowledge, things that we learn, there's always like this there's this level of this level of the edge of the human knowledge. There's always above the things that we know. So when we believe that we always have something above us, that's where like God concept or Allah concept is in there. So yeah, I think I feel like that we only I live only one time, and I also don't believe in reincarnation, meaning that what I do right now is going to be censored and filtered and being being justified. But that's just that I don't have another life to repel what I've done or don't do in this life.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the opinion. So, yeah, basically, the question about pahala and dosa, of course, is actually a system of a control system actually. But personally, I like pahala and dosa if it's not the objectives. Some people sometimes put pahala and dosa into the main objectives. it's something that you get automatically without being the focus of your intention, actually. So that's my opinion, actually. So do good regardlessly. I mean, unconditional good. If everything becomes transactional, oh, you do something good for the transaction of getting pahala for your piggy bank, jingling, you get 1 more point. I think that's become something that's not genuine, and something the value of that good is not as good, not as value is not as high if you do it unconditionally. That's my opinion. But basically, your what you mentioned is also the same concept of karma, actually, when you said that when you do something good happens to you, or you get good luck. Actually, that's part of the part of the concept of karma. Yeah. Thank you. Any other opinions? I think there's 16 people, so I don't know who the others are. So maybe if they have any opinions, just jump in. Okay, the next chapter is transition. Okay, so in the soul eventually arrive on a central pole. So all of them become into one place, central place. Now, in the Islamic belief, although alam barzakh, everyone is collected before the judgment day. Well, this is actually a certain hub where people go. They finally arrive home and rejoin familiar people, meaning that they know people who died, they meet people who already died, and the journey seems endless and glide fast. So it depends on the level of your spirit, because the placement actually in the book mentioned that. Oh, sorry, they give the book actually has these 3 graphs, 3 pictures, which just explains that your certain soul is collected in certain groups. Some of them are clustered into the level of their goodness, I should say. So actually, according to me, the graphic is not really good in this book. It's very old-fashioned compared with today's visual arts or the visual programs. So actually, the visual is actually a bit difficult to understand, but maybe you can study it more and find out what it really meant. But the next graph actually is clearer. It shows level of incarnated soul. So when you die, there's levels. So actually, not everyone comes to a certain level. They go into a different dimension. So with what level you are, it depends on your goodness. So level 1 is beginner, white, bright, homogeneous, status none. Level 2, higher level of white, reddish shade. So actually, the color is more or less like the color of our aura. You know?
Dikit ya. Jadi kan gini nih, aku tuh kan si Afif ini.
Hello. Sorry. So the level of it's like the karma, right? So our aura, actually, the lowest is red, and it goes up to orange, it goes to yellow, it goes to yellow. After yellow, it goes to green, it goes to blue, it goes to indigo, and it goes to violet. So it seems that it corresponds to that. But the dark yellow, a deep gold ultimate, turning into a trace of blue, then it goes into light blue, trace of yellow, and then goes to bluish purple. So basically it's the same color of aura. The highest is, of course, the purple or the violet. The lowest is white, and it comes to red, and then up to the rainbow. Okay, so that's one of his graph, which is not very clear, actually.
Wido, can I make a comment too?
Yes, please do.
Can I see the level of soul
This?
perfection?
This one?
I think this is Ustad Omar Shahab was mentioning, that we are in Alam Barzakh, we have these different levels of souls. So that's why the highly advanced become the teachers, the low levels become the students, because at the end we all need to become one level, which is the highest level of all. And so I think I agree with this kind of expression. But this one, the previous one, the one that has the color, Pak Wido.
Yes, this.
This one? Is this the, no, yeah, this one.
Mhm.
So the goal is for everyone in this world to be on level 6. This is the God's goal. We're supposed to be highly advanced. However, when we die, actually, some people fall in the beginner level, others in lower intermediate, the rest like in intermediate, upper intermediate, only few in highly advanced and advanced. So the senior ones are supposed to be mentoring the beginner one in the alam barzakh, or the world in between. And for those who believe in reincarnation, the way that the highly advanced interact with the beginner are like they're going back to the world, corporeal world, to be a teacher and the students and things like that, husband, wife, or children and parents in different forms, until the beginner level soul, which is the one that has to be taught, they reach the same level as the teacher, which is the highly advanced. I think I'm beginning to understand now the process. This is more details than the class I took, actually. Thank you.
Actually, the 3 pictures has really helped a lot, right? Even though it's very old-fashioned pictures, no colors. Yeah. Okay. So actually, it was also mentioned in the book that when we die, there are guides, people who sort of guide us along the way. Actually, in the book also mentioned that these guides actually could be in the same level or you. Sometimes they're higher level or lower level. That's a bit strange, but they're not always in the book. They said that it's not always the higher level. It could be lower than you, but they have a connection like soulmates. So not necessarily level of enlightenment, but maybe just a connection with the deceased. Okay, so our guides, entities who are our friend, exist on level not much higher or lower than ourselves. They're considered soulmates. Yeah. Now, the next chapter is about the beginner soul. Souls truly young or just immature. So in this book also explains that people who experience reincarnation not always become higher level. Some people can live like 30,000 years, but still in the same level. So actually, it's not always people, they can just be just immature. Some people, sometimes when we meet children, we can sense that this child is an old soul. We often use that word, an old soul, because we know that the child gives out some sort of energy that we feel that is not normal for a child. But in this case, some people who can be reincarnated, they can be old soul. They can also be people who've been over and over and yet they have learned nothing. It's also possible, like in this case. Yeah. The next level is the intermediate soul, acquire the maturity and experience for operating more independently. So the intermediate, the higher level is people who's more mature with, who knows how to act. The advanced is very scarce. They have comprehension and far-reaching spiritual consciousness. So I think this is the level, the highest level towards the violet color or the purple color. Now, the problem is the next chapter is about life selection. So when you're already in the spirit world, and you have to go back to the world, as Paramita mentioned, corporal world, that corporal, that I mean, it's a bodily world. Well, they have to choose sometimes. So sometimes they choose, sometimes they are given. So choosing a new body, great care in choosing the right body. So sometimes if you don't choose the right body, it's difficult. But in Hinduism, it also explains that you're not always reincarnated as a human. Sometimes if you do bad, you go back to a level, reincarnated into animals, as an animal or an insect. So that's another thing to discuss about, right? Some may agree, some may not. because it doesn't mention in the book at all that you are reincarnated as an animal. It's always in a human level. So the rebirth is also a profound experience. So basically, that's what's in the book. I don't know if any of you read it in detail. Maybe you have the ones who read it. Mike has given his opinion that the book is a bit tedious. I personally found the book also a bit tedious because the book is written in 1994, where this kind of topic was the in thing in the new age era. But we've passed already like 90, that's what, 30 years ago, Mike? Already 30 years ago, more than 30 years ago. So I think during that time, a lot of books has been written, a lot of movies have been done, whereas something, this isn't a novelty anymore nowadays, that life after death is sort of more or less a common knowledge now. Whether you believe in reincarnation or alam barzakh or the Islamic version or the Christian version, basically life after death is something quite common now. Some people still don't believe, but it's because obviously there's no proof. Nobody really has risen from the dead and told us what it's like. So the conclusion of the book, actually, this book actually opened that hypnosis is finally opening the door to the eternal world. Yeah, meaning that sorry, where is that? Sorry, different approach to life. Yeah, to spirituality. So maybe the conclusion is, this is actually the conclusion of the writer, that hypnosis has finally opened a door to the eternal world, where, as explained by Ifa, if I'm not mistaken name, that hypnosis is to cure illness today. Actually, it has opened, the past life regression has opened this form of knowledge into the spirituality or the spirit world. So actually, I have a question. This is the questions I wrote, actually. So do you have to be religious to believe in the afterlife? For example, if I'm an atheist, do atheists believe in afterlife? Anyone have an opinion on that?
I guess no. I mean, they don't believe in anything happening.
No, it's I think, I'm not sure if it's like agnostic probably, but a spiritual person is different than religious. I believe religious people, they are just, follow the discipline of the religion.
Yes.
And rituals, but they're not necessarily highly spiritual.
Yes. Okay.
Maybe
well, actually,
destroy that.
I think an atheist is different from a nihilist who don't believe in anything.
A nihilist, yeah.
So, yeah. What's the English word, Mike?
A nihilist.
Nihilist.
A
nihilist. Yeah. They don't believe in anything, but an atheist probably still believe there's a heaven on earth, like we can create the utopia on this earth, and a lot of them are actually trying. But I don't know whether afterlife, maybe they're agnostic.
Yeah. So yeah, go ahead, Mike.
As I say, for me, it doesn't make sense that you have a religious variety. Yeah, I mean, this has to be something that's pretty basic humanity, and doesn't matter whether you're a Dayak in Kalimantan or somebody in New York. The same principles should apply. They should be basic principles. Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be pick and mix. And it's not to do with really your nurture, your surroundings. Yeah, I think there should be much more basic, and it's not flexible. Yeah, I mean, this is the way it is. Yeah, I mean, it should be dark and light. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so when you say the word religious, actually, there's so much form of what is considered religious.
Yeah.
Some people like people mentioned that religious is people who just believe in, or Imung said that religion is people who just believe in the religion itself. But there are spiritual people who are not considered, to the religious people, are not considered religious, but actually they're spiritual people. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the religious people are basically all following their own brand
Yes.
of religion. Yeah, and they have no basis on which to build that. So what's the validity of it? And when you take Christians, for instance, we have so many varieties now of Christian. Yeah, I mean, it is in a way a bit illogical. I was brought up Catholic, and I find it unbelievable, that Henry VIII can just dissolve the religion in the UK and set up the Church of England. I mean, he is all right, he was a king, but he's just a guy with 2 feet, 2 hands, and a human being. Yeah, so for me, the Church of England has no validity. Yeah, I mean, to me, this is a man-made religion. It has nothing to do with God. And then you go into all of the other, probably hundreds of different religions in Christianity, or the different offshoots, and they're all different. I mean, you get the Scientologists, you get the Mormons, you get the Quakers, you get the Methodists. I mean, they're all supposedly Christian, following the same God in a totally different way. So it all breaks down a bit. I think we need to get back to basics. And I don't think we've ever had the basic, yeah? Maybe Adam and Eve had a basic rule book operating system, but we've long time ago lost that. So, I think that there's so much variety in the world. I mean, you can pick and mix facts and make anything believable. And all of it is based on superstition, is belief that has no real factual background. So this is an area we will never decide, in a million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million years. Yeah, what the answer is, I don't think.
Well, it's the study that the world has like 4,000 gods.
Yeah.
So disbelieving one extra god, does that make you go to hell?
Yeah. I mean, and that's just Hinduism. I mean, then you've got all of the other gods. I mean, Hinduism is a multitude of different gods. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're all different. Yeah. So to me, it is I don't know, in a way, it's a fool's errand, even trying to decide. Yeah, I think this has no valid explanation by humans. Yeah, I mean, if we find another layer of intelligence somewhere, maybe even amongst us, but at the moment, I mean, we have none of us, know. None of us know. None of us will probably ever know before we die. And really, so what? So what? But again, I think we need to concentrate more on the now. And I think was it Imung, we were saying, if you do bad now, there needs to be some reward for goodness and punishment for badness now, not in the future. Yeah, otherwise, why should we conform to normality? Why should we do good things? So, I think religion is a way of life. Personally, I believe every religion is just as valid as every other religion. It's just a different road. And it's only that, this is an operating system. You change the operating system like computers every 5 years, 10, 30 years. Yeah, so, things change. I mean, just going back to the writing of this book, 94, I mean, 94 was only like 10 years after the PC became popular. Yeah, this is really Stone Age, technology.
Yeah.
But the thoughts, I mean, gurus have been going into the mountains forever. I mean, the monks, back in the 13th, 14th century, they were praying, they were trying to work out what the answers were. They still haven't found out. Yeah, and I think there are many theories. Yeah, but they're not fact.
Yeah. Well, the problem is with even morals has different standards. Yeah, morality has different standards according to what society you're from.
Yeah,
Maybe
and, you know, the time period. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in the 1800s in the UK, if you stole a loaf of bread to feed your starving kids and got caught, you were sent to Australia forever. Yeah, so I mean, you know, the law at the time, again, is very man-made and very inferior. Yeah, very inferior.
Yeah.
There's a joke by Richard Dawkins in this interview. He said, atheists are people who believe, who don't believe one God further than other people.
Yeah.
Because everybody else just believe one God, but they don't believe other gods, right? So atheists don't believe one God further than everybody else.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, like I said, if there's like thousands of God, is believing one less God makes you go to hell? That's the point. Okay, there's another question. What is the difference between soul and spirit?
Oh, that's tough.
Is it the same? If it's not the same, what's the difference?
May I give some comments?
Please.
Yeah. Actually, this book is quite controversial, at least for me, because it challenged my belief system. And yeah, what I already believe from my religion, what already taught by my religion. Just as background information, I'm Catholic, and Catholic is following one teaching, which is based on Vatican. So the whole world have the same teaching, and there's no reincarnation. You have only one chance to live a good life, which will direct yourself whether to heaven or hell. But there's something in between actually, which is called purgatory. Purgatory is maybe it's a bit the same like what Mbak Mita taught earlier.
Alam Barza.
Alam Barza. Yeah, but this is a place to perfect your maybe your level until you are appropriate to enter the heaven. But it's not a condition that we can expect, because in purgatory it is full in fire, because your spirit will be washed in fire, with flame of fire. But maybe it's not as bad as hell, but because it's temporary. And so what I learned is there's a difference between soul and spirit, but this is based on my religion. Spirit is the one that guide us or directed to our God. It's not the soul. Spirit is called jiwa in bahasa. But for soul, maybe it's not really explained. So I cannot explain what soul it is. But spirit is the one that is in us, that call us back to our path, to the correct path, which constantly communicated with our God. And also in the book, there's mentioned we have a soulmate or a guide. And this is what I also believe. We call it as a guardian angel. And I believe it's true. We have our guardian angel that following us wherever we go, and maybe to afterlife. But on the other hand, although this book is controversial for me, but I found this book is shooting me. I mean, because we have fear, especially nowadays, what will happen if we die. But after I read especially the beginning of the book, that explain what happened when I mean, the second we die, what happened? And I think it's really calm us down and give us comfort, right? We know it's not as bad as we think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's good. Okay, so any other opinion about soul and spirit? Well, so actually the soul and the spirit is different. In Bahasa Indonesia, the soul is jiwa, the spirit is roh. So
it's not the other way around?
No, the soul
Oh.
is jiwa and the spirit is the
Soul is
roh.
jiwa.
Holy
So
Spirit.
the one is
Roh
directed
Kudus.
to God is the
one connected to God is the spirit.
spirit. Yeah.
So actually the soul is actually something is, if the spirit is like a hard disk, an empty hard disk, which connected to the mainframe, which is God, is the vehicle. Whereas the soul is actually all the memories, all your action is recorded onto the spirit. That's why the soul is what carries on your goodness, your badness, because everything is written on the soul. Whereas the spirit is actually the clean, is the pure Holy Spirit that connects you with the God. So more or less it's like that. So people are often mistaken the two. Actually, in the Bible, it's also they also mention it, and it's quite different. Yeah. Okay. Any other opinions?
Widow, I would like to read the last part of the book. I
Yes.
think I really like it so much. I hope everyone can also, can I?
Yes, please do.
Yeah, okay. We are divine but imperfect beings who exist in two worlds, material and spiritual. It is our destiny to shuttle back and forth between these universes through space and time while we learn to master ourselves and acquire knowledge. We must trust in this process with patience and determination. Our essence is not fully knowledgeable in most physical hosts, but self is never lost because we always remain connected to both worlds. The most significant benefits which comes from knowing we have a home of everlasting love waiting for us is being receptive to the higher spiritual power within our minds. The awareness that we do belong somewhere is reassuring and offers us peace, not merely as a heaven from conflicts, but to unify ourselves with a universal mind. One day we are going to finish this long journey, all of us, and reach an ultimate state of enlightenment where everything is possible.
That's very good. That's very nice.
Wow, cool.
So actually, that's what I wrote on the conclusion.
That's
One
a
day
very
we are
good
going to finish this
closing,
long
like-
journey and reach an ultimate state of enlightenment
Yes.
where everything is possible.
Yeah.
So actually, what happens in life now is very important for what we expect. But actually, there's another thing that is written. Is it our inflated ego that hate to think that life is temporary? Inflated ego. So our ego won't allow us to think that it's temporary. Like I said, that people who have achieved greatness in life just hate to think that one day it will all come to an end and be forgotten. So that's something to think about. Okay, so basically that was the book. Those who read it in detail, I commend you, because I think actually this book. So let's have a opinion. What you think of the book itself, whether you've read it or not. Any opinions? I personally, I give my opinion. I think the book is a bit, for me, is a bit lazy, because Michael Newton just wrote down his job, which is actually making notes of what he have discussions we have with his patients, right, with his clients. So basically, he just wrote it down and just changed the name to subject.
Yeah, just recorded.
Yes, just recorded, and he just gave headlines on or some inserts of the what is about the discussion, and he just arranged it into chronological from the beginning to the end. So actually, I think it's a bit lazy. But then again, the book is written in 1994, so I think that at that time it's quite controversial and quite a bestseller at that time. So nowadays, if you write a book like this, I don't think it will sell too well, because I think actually he could have written it in a different way, compile all these discussions with this patient and write it in a different way, not just as a recording of the documentation of this discussion with this patient. So that's my opinion. So
it would be interesting to know who his audience were. Who did he think he was writing for? Because I don't think this is a book for the general public so much.
yes, well,
This is more for academia, I think, academia, religious organizations, for instance.
yeah. But I think in 94, the talk of afterlife and life after death, there were several people writing books about this, which became bestsellers. So I think he just joined in the bandwagon, or maybe if you look at it from a scientific view as a hypnotherapist, maybe this is something also new for other hypnotherapists, because after that, a lot of people are doing past life regression practices, and it opened a new field of hypnotherapy, I guess. So that's my opinion. So 5 out of how do I rate the book out of 1, 0 to 5? Perhaps 2.5, maybe.
Yeah, I'll add the other 2.5 as well.
Yeah. Because I think
Also,
it's a bit tedious to read, actually. Going back and forth, discussions like that is very tedious. I'm sure that if you listen to the audio book, it's also very tedious to listen to.
Yeah.
Well, I never rated a book 2.5.
Oh, okay. So
Wow, this book must be terrible then.
Why did you choose this book then, Pak Wido?
Well, because people were talking about
couldn't believe it either.
No.
It's
No,
good.
I'm talking, sorry. Not the content, the information.
Yeah, the way it's displayed.
I'm talking about how it was written, not actually the content. So I'm sorry about that. The content is of course very important. It's very enlightening information. Thought-provoking is good. So I give that actually a 3.5 for that, almost 4. But the way it was written, I'm sorry to say, it was the way it was written. So I know.
Also, he put together, an explanation or interview. I just couldn't stand it. I don't know why.
I know that's the point. It's very tiring to read.
Yeah.
I think if that book was rewritten again today in a different way, it could be with better pictures, of course. It could be more interesting. All right. So any other comments?
If it's made in visual, probably more interesting. I feel like reading a movie script where like this is character 1 asking character 2 and then character 3. So yeah.
Actually, I found the audiobook is also interesting because the reader has a vocal variety. So in the interview, different voice. So I think
maybe you read it different. My audiobook was quite boring. It says a subject, blah blah blah.
Yeah, the same.
Newton,
but
blah,
I
blah,
think
blah,
the tone is different. So
it's very tiring. Maybe you got a better audiobook, so that made it easier. Okay, so what's your opinion, Rolly, about the book?
About the content?
About the content.
I think I explained already.
Okay, you explained it's different from your current belief.
It's different. Yeah, I try to open it. I try to read it with an open mind. I take it with grain and salt. Somehow, I don't try to finish it because at the end, I I come to question what I already believe, what is already taught in my religion. So I think I finished like 75% of the audiobook. But because it's interesting, I follow it like fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to know. And maybe one side of me hope that it is true, but the other side of me said that no one validated, and it can be, you know, because fortune, like something like fortune teller is, yeah, I was taught that it's evil work because the evil know your past, but they cannot tell you the future actually. So maybe when you come to fortune teller, they know your past, and you can validate, oh, it's right. But when they say about your future, it's not true. So
Yeah.
part of me said maybe maybe it's like evil work during the hypnosis, or yeah, maybe false thought or something.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe a comment from Johnson. Johnson, I haven't heard from you. I see there's Johnson here.
Hey everyone. Hi, Pawido.
Hello.
I'm here.
You were early to come, so you should give a comment.
I love the review. I would like to ask people here, how many of you that do not believe of hypnotherapy? I'm just questioning. I mean, assuming that here people are believing, right? But how many of you that do not believe of this?
I believe in
50-50.
hypnotherapy. Yeah.
50-50.
Jay, I
Yes.
think you need to explain a little bit of the definition of the hypnotherapy, because it's probably different from, for different people.
Well, actually, I asked earlier in the group about how, the things that, how the past life influence our current life and kind of that questions. And I want to know all of you guys, how do you guys think on that part?
Okay. It's interesting though, like to see Pipit, you don't believe? So,
in my opinion, it's really hard to confirm it. And I think they somehow take advantage of that absence of confirmation, because there's no way we know whether it was true or not. And even when I watched this documentary that somehow pro reincarnation, they also somehow discredit hypnotherapy because of the power of the hypnotherapist to actually invent this false memory. There's a lot of articles about this false memory and a lot of litigations, lawsuits in court about this false memory. Yeah. And most of the decisions actually said that it cannot be a valid decision whether the hypnotherapist said that you were abused as a child or you were sexually assaulted as a child. There's no way to find out whether it's true or not. And so that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. Well, hypnotherapy is a science, it's not something that is completely considered quack or something that's so
true.
There are people who study it very seriously, but whether past life regression is really past life or just an imagination of the subject, we really don't know actually.
That's true.
And it's also a work in progress. This will keep changing, as we get more scientific knowledge, more evidence, the theory will change. Yeah. I mean, all of this stuff is, 150 years old? It's not that old. Yeah, so it will keep moving. It will keep changing.
Yeah.
Well,
Irti, you want to give your thoughts on this book?
I think I want to add to Johnson's question. You also asked me about the name of the alam that I talked about. It's called Alam Barzah. I think people already typed how to spell it for Google research. I've done a hypnotherapy too. So I think everything that we do depends on our intention. What is the purpose? if you do the hypnotherapy to bring out the best into you and to solve the problems that came from your past, I think that could be good. It's the intention that counts. So for example, tonight we're discussing about this book is what is the golden nugget that we can bring home. So for everybody, it's different. And for Rolly, actually, now with the pandemic, people are afraid of dying. But after reading this book, Rolly said that the opening of the book already calmed her. She's not afraid of dying anymore. So I think it's good. If the purpose is to make us peaceful, I think the purpose is achieved. So it depends on you how you want to use the content of this book or the lessons that Pak Wido shared with us tonight. Also with the hypnotherapy and also about any other therapies or mechanism that you use in life, what is your intention? And can that improve the quality of your life? Because if it can, so I think it's good, whatever it is. Yeah, I think that's the point of the Bookaholics discussion. It should be able to improve the quality of our life. And it calms us down. And thank you, Pak Wido, for sharing, because after this, it gives me hope that it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be bad, because I'm given a lot of chances to be better by reincarnating to a different person, to a different experience. But one thing that, who's my soulmate? Who's gonna guide me? That's the question that I have now.
Wido will be.
Thank you, Pak Johnson. Actually, hypnotherapy only works for people who believe, actually. So if you're a non-believer, it does not work. You have to accept it, and you want to be hypnotized. If you have already a priori or prejudgment or prejudice about it, and you don't want to be hypnotized, it will not work. So it's quite a tricky profession.
Yeah.
I feel like, if I may add a little bit, you have to feel really convenient with the person that will do the hypnotherapy session with you. If you don't believe him, I've been there, and I don't feel like this person is
trusted.
I cannot open with him, then everything that he tries to do, I cannot feel like loosen up. But once I've got, and I feel like I don't realize what happened, and then one of my friend recorded, and then like, what do you feel? I feel like I don't realize anything. I feel like I just fell asleep. And then wait, this is recording. So what? And also not hypnotherapies. I've experienced ruqyah, even Islamic mistake, ruqyah, when there's an ustad trying to do the exorcism from some evil spirit from your body. And I've been there twice, and then I don't know why. I feel I was still conscious, but then I cannot control what I say. And then there's suddenly one of my friend, my husband actually, he recorded it, and then my voice was different, and then the answer was so not me. But I feel like I feel I'm still conscious. I feel like the ustad is trying to read the prayers and stuff, and then but I cannot. I feel like I'm just a person that looking at the cinema, and then there's a person that in front of me taking control of myself. And well, we deleted the recording because it was kind of creepy, but that what was happened to me. That's why hypnotherapy or ruqyah thingy, I kind of deal with it. So in spite of the religious thing, spiritually speaking, I kind of believe this kind of stuff. But I'm afraid.
That's good. But actually, hypnosis is not always have to be involve another person. You can also do it by yourself. It's called auto hypnosis. So like affirmation, meditation is also a form of hypnosis, but you do it yourself. It's called auto hypnosis. You can get rid of your old traumas using that, and you can clear your mind. Yeah. So it's not always concerning like in the TV shows where they touch you and you automatically fall asleep. I don't know if that's true. It's just it's just a show, but I don't know if you
can I share
experience it.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, go ahead. Repeat.
Can I share a fun experience about
Yes, please.
exorcism? In my life, I've been pingsan, passed out 2 times. And the first time was in a swimming pool, and the swimming pool is located close to a forest. So people think it was apa ya namanya? Mystic, you know. So I passed out totally because of I was too weak. I did not eat for I think since the day before, right? But people thought I was kesurupan. And when I woke up, I was arguing with them. No, I'm fine. Don't do it. But then I was totally conscious and I was arguing with them, trying to convince them that I'm not kesurupan. But they thought that I was the jinn who was, you know, was fighting with them. But it was me. I was conscious.
I mean, I have a funny story if you have a few minutes. In the late 60s, Ouija boards and spiritualism was going through British universities like wildfire. And one Saturday night, I was at home with my mum, my dad, and my sister was already upstairs in bed. And we were watching the late night movie, like midnight movie. And somehow my dad brought up this Ouija board experience at university. He said, "Oh, you students, you know, you're all stupid. How can you believe something like that?" And I said, no, there's something in it. You know, there's some truth there. So he said, "Oh, I don't believe you." I said, "Well, just hang on a minute. I just need to go to the toilet upstairs." So I went upstairs and I woke my sister up and I said, you know, count to 100 and then start jumping up and down on the floor. And we had wooden floorboards. So she started counting. I went back downstairs and we sat around a table. I got a glass and sort of started this Ouija session. was moving the glass around, and all of a sudden the light above him, you know, which is a glass chandelier, started shaking and the roof was jumping up and down. And I was looking at his face because I knew it was going to come. And he just flew in the sky. I mean, he was really scared. Yeah, and then I laughed and told him what was happening. But it is, again, you get a lot of charlatans and a bit of confidence tricksters. Yeah. And it is, you have to be really careful. You know, I think, you know, people can hoodwink you. They can arrange things, yeah, that you think are genuine and they're not. So you have to be very, very suspicious. I mean, it's a bit like, you know, hoaxes on social media. Yeah, be very careful what you read and what you follow.
Yeah. Well, a lot of occult.
Take pictures. Oh. Pak, sorry, Pak.
Oh, yeah.
Before it's already 9.
It was. Wow. I think this is the first time we'll go over time. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone, please turn on your camera. Everybody else will edit them in. So Rolly, Ellie, Mbak Ellie, Mbak Ellie, Mbak Evi tadi. Ellie terus TLN siapa ya? TLN.
It's Rizka and my friend from Ambon.
Oh. How about Nina? Okay, let's take photo. Grab the closest book.
buku. Sorry.
I'm reading Da Vinci's biography.
Wait. Contoh.
Rizka usually take buku itu ya, buku paket. Buku paket itu.
Something.
Ya.
Wait. Apa aja boleh ya?
Apa aja ya?
Apa aja.
Wait.
Bible juga boleh.
Aja deh.
Yes. Mbak Imung nggak ada, nggak bawa. Oke, 1, 1.
Nanti aja deh, gampang.
1, 2. Rolly.
Rizka bukunya sama You Being Beautiful.
Oke, let's go. Ellie, angkat lagi. Oke, 1, 2, 3. Done.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you everyone for spending time with me.
Thank you, Pak Dodo.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you, Pak Wido. It's been great.